God has plans to prosper you, give you hope and a future too. So let me remind you of what you have the power to do.
You've been on a journey, trying to find your way. Like the sun, you're rising, 'cause today's your day to unlock every gift inside. Let your potential flow. Don't let anybody kill your vibe. Time to bust up and show. Gotta keep on reaching, keep believing. Act like you know you can win. Live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. We've got wellness, church by phone. You don't even have to leave your home to be inspired. To rise a little higher with Cassandra Mack. They said you'd never make it, but you're still here. Kept on pushing through all your doubts and fears. Never let a hater see you sweat. Remember who you are. When they go low, let them reap what they sow while you go far. Gotta keep on reaching, keep believing. Baby, shine like a star. You can win, live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. If you got haters, they gon' hate. Keep your head up and just be great. It's your season, your winning season with Cassandra Mack. Rise up, time to get on your grind. Go after your dreams, no time to fall behind. Push till the end and never give in. It's your winning season, get ready to win. Keep moving forward and never look back. It's time to get motivated with Cassandra Mack. You can win, live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. We've got wellness, church by phone. You don't even have to leave your home to be inspired. To rise a little higher with Cassandra Mack.
Welcome to the Cassandra Mack channel, a channel dedicated to providing biblical wisdom and upliftment to those who want to be part of this community. So you know this up front, comments that are divisive, disrespectful, or deliberately contrary to the teaching shared here will be deleted and the person will be blocked. Understand that I post as I'm led by the Lord. I do not post for anyone's approval or validation. Therefore, I will not be swayed by those who come in bad faith to troll or who come with a disruptive agenda. If you find that this channel doesn't align with you, that's perfectly okay. If you are offended by my rules, my directness, or my delivery, that's okay also. I encourage you to find the YouTube channel that's a better fit, since obviously we're not it. And if you choose to unsubscribe, no need to announce your departure. We are not the airlines. At any time, you can simply choose not to get on board. To everyone else, thank you for being here. Let's continue to grow together. God bless you. When you watch your mouth, you don't have to watch your back as intensely. And by that, I mean this. When you're mindful about the information you share about yourself, it allows you to move with more freedom, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons why. Now, let me be very clear. You always have to use situational awareness, and you do have to keep your head on a swivel to a degree. But what I'm saying in this video is the more that you watch your mouth, you don't have to be as intense as watching your back, because watching your mouth takes care of your back. This is what I mean. So, Proverbs tells us in Proverbs 17 and 28 in the Bible, tells us that even a fool is considered wise when he keeps his mouth shut. But then the question is, why? And that's where we lean into James 1 and 19, which says, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. See, when you are quick to hear, you were able to really take in what the other person is saying, not just with their words, but with their tone of voice, with their body language, with their actions. When you are quick to speak, rather than being slow to speak, you don't give the other person an opportunity to let you know where they're coming from. And people oftentimes reveal more than they intend to reveal if you let them speak long enough. But when you feel like you have to jump in and fill the spaces, sometimes you leave yourself open in a way that it doesn't have to be. And so we want to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. The ability to regulate our emotions. Just because you feel an emotion doesn't mean you have to act on the emotion. And so let's look at 5 ways that being quick to hear and slow to speak, watching your mouth, serves you well. Number 1, it prevents you from sharing information about you or somebody else that doesn't need to be shared. So often, a person is just talking, just passing time, just making conversation, and they venture into gossiping, and they get caught up in a conflict that doesn't have to be. So somebody says, hey, how's Susan doing? How's Pam doing? How's Timothy doing? Oh, well, they're really not doing too good. They're going through a nasty divorce, a custody battle. And how Timmy want this person to know all of that? And you may feel honestly like you are not gossiping. You are just saying how Timmy or Sam is doing. But just because you are privy to that information doesn't mean that person who shared that information with you wants other people to be privy to that information. And so it's real easy to get yourself caught up in a he-say situation where now Timmy is like, why are you telling this person my business? It's gotten back to me that you're telling everybody what's happening with me and my ex. And there's no guarantee that when you tell that person, they're not going to tell 2 other people, and you don't know how that person really feels about Timmy or Samantha. Sometimes when there's a monitoring spirit, they will come to you under the guise of just checking up on somebody to see how that person is doing, when in fact, they don't like them. They're envious of them. They're monitoring them, but you are the weakest link because of your mouth. So you will spread information without meaning to. And this is not even about a person that has hostility in their heart. A lot of people who are just making conversation by passing the time, and that's how they pass the time, just making conversation, are not mindful of what it is they're talking about. So you could be spreading other people's business even if you don't mean to. Or you might be sharing something about yourself that the other person doesn't need to know about you. See, when you talk too much, you give away your goals, you give away your plans, you reveal your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, and your next move. That's intel for a smiling enemy. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about you catching up with your grandmama, your aunties, and the people that love you and got your back. I am talking about generally when you are engaging humans in the world. I'm not talking about specific instances of your close relationships where trust has already been established, loyalty has been earned. You know that about this person. We're talking about in just everyday life in general. You don't need to tell everybody what you're building, who hurt you, what you're going through. Loose lips don't just sink ships. They hand the enemy the treasure map to your heart. So you want to be mindful. And it doesn't mean that you can't make friendly conversation, but you just want to be mindful of what am I revealing in that friendly conversation. Number 2, when you watch your mouth and you're slow to speak, especially when you're highly emotional, like you're angry about something, it allows the anger to cool down so rational thinking can take over before any real damage is done. Have you ever been in a situation, and if we're honest, most of us have, where in the heat of the moment, your mouth wrote a check that just wasn't a good thing? There's a saying, your mouth wrote a check that your behind can't cash. But your mouth wrote a check, and now you got to pay up. And in the heat of the moment, you were mad at your cousin. I'll never forget True story. It was two cousins who had a falling out with each other. We all grew up in the same neighborhood, and I was friendly with both of the cousins. And maybe at the time we might have been 14, 15, like that. We were in high school age. We didn't go to school together. We knew each other from the neighborhood. And one of the girls, I will call her Jane, not her real name, was mad because her and her cousin fell out with each other, and she started telling me her cousin's business. And I said, you shouldn't talk about your cousin like that. She was like, but you don't know what she did. I said, you shouldn't talk about your cousin like that, especially to me, because I'm no kin to you. I'm no blood to you. Because what if the two of you make up? What if the two of you make up and now you have said all of these things about her, and that's going to put division in your relationship and division in your family? And so she was like, no, but I know how you are. I could trust you. That's not the point. Because if you're telling me, you probably told 2 or 3 other people because you're mad. You shouldn't even be telling me this. In fact, I don't want to hear it. And what ended up happening is they made up. And not only did she tell me, she told other people in the neighborhood. And once it got back to the cousin, their relationship was never the same. And so a lot of times when we're upset, we're so in the thick of the intensity of the emotion, we may not be operating from the soundness of our mind. And then that gives the enemy a foothold. The enemy will use your emotions against you if you don't manage them. John 10:10 says the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Christ comes so that we may have life and have life more abundantly. That's what the scripture says specifically. So knowing that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? One of the ways that the thief will do that is through our own anger. When we are in the thick of anger, we are so annoyed. We are so enraged about something that we perceive was done to us, or something that was really done to us. It doesn't have to be a perception, something that really happened. But sometimes the more that you linger in the anger that you feel, the less your rational thinking kicks in, and you may do damage. There are many people sitting in jail cells because they let their anger take over in that moment. And if they could go back in time, a lot of them are like, I wish I would have did it a different way. I wish I would have just gave myself a 5-second pause. And so in the heat of the moment, your mouth will say some things that will open up a can of worms if we're not mindful. Proverbs 14:29 puts it this way: whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Look what it's saying. When you're slow to anger, great understanding can kick in because you have time to think about the consequences of your choices. You have time to think about the ramifications of what could possibly happen if you take it to level 10. But when you have a hasty temper and you let your temper rule you, what happens is that you exalt. That word exalt means to raise. It's like an exaltation. You raise up folly. You raise up foolishness and pure ignorance. You ever seen some people do some real ignorant foolery because they were in the heat of that anger? They were in the heat of the moment, and even they realized how stupid their actions were. And even if they didn't admit it, when you're sitting in a jail cell, when you in handcuffs, when that person who was good to you, but y'all had a disagreement and you took it to level 100, is no longer speaking with you and totally cut you out of their life, there's some regret there, but it didn't have to be that way if we manage our mouth. And it's one of the hardest things to manage. The Bible talks about how the tongue is one of the hardest things to manage. The third reason why you want to watch your mouth is that the less you speak, particularly in situations where you might be in the lion's den, it could be the lion's den of a workplace, the lion's den of a social situation, it is harder for people to predict your next move. And so one of the craziest things, and I grew up on the Lower East Side, It was a different neighborhood than it is today, the Lower East Side of Manhattan. But when I grew up, it was a rough neighborhood. And one of the things when two people had a problem with one another, back then we would say beef, somebody would say, watch your back. And to me, that's the dumbest thing. Why are you going to tell somebody who you about to do something to them to watch your back? That kills the element of surprise if you really about that life. And so when you're telling somebody your next move, they know how to predict you. And it makes you more easily manipulated because a person knows how to tug at your heartstrings. A person knows where you're vulnerable. A person knows what makes you angry. When people don't know exactly what you think or how you feel, they can't weaponize it against you because they don't know. Proverbs 10:19 puts it bluntly. It says, when words are many, transgression is not lacking, but whoever restrains his lips is prudent. There's a wisdom. Prudence is a type of wisdom. It is the ability to be able to look at a situation, see it from all sides, and foresee the risk. And because you can foresee the risk, you were able to restrain your lips. And you're like, nah, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to answer that question in the way they're asking it of me. I'm not going to go toe to toe and one up this person. Because sometimes you think you're winning when you one up. So you could have a situation where you have that cousin, that friend in your friend group, or so-called friend, they're not really a friend. And whenever they get around you, right, maybe there's a little competition that they have with you in their own mind. They're envious of you. They always are wanting up you. And you may think like, you know, I'm so tired of this chick. I'm tired of this dude always bragging about what he got going on, what she got going on. I ain't no slouch. See, now you're being emotional. You're not being strategic. Because sometimes when you have a person who is envious of you, but they're also monitoring, they're trying to get intel on you. And one of the ways they do that is one-upping you. And now you're revealing information. Well, yeah, you know, I just bought a house in the ABC community, and my house was appraised at this amount of money. Really? Well, I just bought a house in the EFG community, and now you just told us, fool, where you live. When your answer should have been, that's beautiful. What a blessing. What a blessing. That's a beautiful thing. That's what you're going to get. What a blessing. I ain't saying nothing. What a blessing. Oh, well, you know, my children, they go to the best school and they go to the ABC school. Yeah, well, my kids go to the EFG school. What if that person really don't like you like that? Now you just reveal where your children went to school. And so you got to be mindful, because when words are many, you're going to transgress. Transgression is not lacking. And one of the worst people to transgress against is your own self. To work against your own best interests. That's not even wise. Every word you speak can give someone a lever. You admit you're insecure, they'll target that. When you watch your mouth, you hold on to your power. 4, when you watch your words, people can't take what you say out of context. A lot of times when people are caught up in he say, she say, we say, they say, you're dealing with a gossiping tongue who will take your words out of context. Well, what do you think of Sarah from accounting? Well, you know, Sarah's kind of quiet. And the other day when I saw Sarah, I spoke to her and she didn't answer me. Maybe something was on her mind. I don't know. Now, that's what you said. You didn't say you hate Sarah. You said maybe something was on her mind because she didn't answer you when you said good morning. But now here come Henrietta the heifer, the one who asking you what you think of Sarah from accounting. And now she gonna go say, Sarah, let me tell you what Jane said. Jane said she spoke to you and you are so snotty. You such a snob. You walk around like you better than everybody. Like you know, like your ish don't stink. And you all of that. And you know what? She don't really like you like that. And you were like, huh? And now Sarah from accounting is like, is there a problem with the two of us? And you're wondering, how did it go there? Because you said too much. See, when words are few, you can't be misquoted. What do you think about Sarah from accounting? I'm getting to know everybody. What do you think of Sarah from accounting? I'm cool with everybody. What do you think of Sarah from accounting? I think teamwork make the dream work. You didn't really answer my question. But that's my answer. I don't know what to tell you. So, people will twist your words, especially when you have a person who's operating from a spirit of confusion. And we know that God is not the author of confusion. But when you're dealing with an individual like that, especially if it's someone you don't know that well, you haven't really gauged their personality, they'll twist your words, they'll take them out of context and use them against you for future reference. The safest sentence is the unspoken one. Silence is not cowardice. It is restrained discernment and wisdom. Especially if you discern that you're dealing with the company gossip. You don't want to be saying a whole lot. You ain't got to be rude. Good morning. How you doing? All right. Have a good day. Good morning. See you later. But you're just keeping it real casual. You're keeping it cordial, casual. You're not saying a whole lot. You're not getting into these deep conversations or opinion conversations. Well, what do you think about the last election? You know, I really don't dive into politics at work. No, I'm not asking a political question. I'm just saying, what do you think? Now they sitting here like you boo-boo the fool. I'm just saying, what do you think about, like, the last election? Sound like politics to me. I don't dive into that, but I'm about to be about this coffee. You want a cup? Fifth reason is that when words are few, the few words you do share become more valuable. Think about the person at your job. At every staff meeting, they always have something to say, even when they don't know what they're talking about. And the moment they raise their hand, everybody look at each other and you're like, here you go. Here you go! Oh gosh, let me brace myself. You might not say that, but everybody's looking at each other saying, we're about to be here an additional 20 minutes when the meeting don't have to be this long, because this person just love to hear themselves talk. And so a lot of times when a person speaks, but they're not really mindful of what they're saying, it becomes background noise. And they're not heard deeply. See, Proverbs 17:27 says, whoever restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. So we're seeing the same wisdom said in a multitude of ways. Because when think about the person who doesn't really speak a lot at your job, or they only speak when they have something really valuable to add to the conversation, right? When they speak, people tend to lean in because they know they're going to share something insightful. So just be mindful, because when you watch your mouth, the natural benefit is that you watch your back. And you don't have to watch your back as intensely, because the mouth does the watching for you. And I want to leave you with this scripture that I think really kind of pulls everything together. And it's Matthew 15:11. And it says, what goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but it is what comes out of their mouth that defiles them, meaning our words. Our words. And then let me leave you with Proverbs 21:23. Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity. So think about that. We keep ourselves from unnecessary calamity, whether that's unnecessary involvement in he say, she say. You ever had your name dragged into a conversation and you only said a few words, but it was a few words too many? And now they multiplying your words, saying something you didn't even say, and you got to try to clean it up on the end because they took what you said out of context. Again, it's very difficult to take something you don't say out of context. How do you take silence out of context? So I hope that this has helped. And if you have ever been in a situation where you were like, I wish I wouldn't have said that, because we all have, if we're honest. No way you've lived on this planet for over 18 years and have never said anything. But what did that teach you? Just about the importance of being mindful of the words you speak. So with that being said, I want to share a couple of things we got going on. So I'm excited to announce the book, Activating the Armor of God. So many of you have been asking me, and this book was 2 years in the making, to write a book about how do you put on the armor of God? How do you move it beyond a concept or an analogy, understanding it that way spiritually, to being practical application in your daily life? Like, what does it look like when you're putting on each of the pieces of armor? And so the book takes you through a 21-day program of tactical training to put on each piece of armor. Why it's important, what the armor does, how it helps you, why we need it. And it's very, very detailed. It's an 8.5 by 11, 130-page workbook. And it is very detailed, breaking the process down in days. So rather than chapters, it's days. Like day 1, you have an action step. Each day comes with a teaching, a training, and an action step, so that you're not just reading, but you are actually applying what it is you're reading to your daily life and the things that you've been praying about. And it's activating the full armor of God. I will leave the link in the video description box for those who are interested. If you're not a member of the Wellness Club, I would encourage you to become a member of the Wellness Club. The Wellness Club is where we really get into deep dives, where we do Q&A. We don't do that in the general videos, but you have an opportunity to do Q&A in the Wellness Club. And we focus on mental self-care, spiritual self-care, and emotional self-care through a biblical lens. It's a group coaching call, so you're getting a group coaching call. It's a therapeutic style call. Not only are you speaking with me live on the conference call, but so much more important than that is that you have an opportunity to come up to the mic, share what's on your heart, specific to the topic on that day. And you also get to hear from other Wellness Club members. You get to hear their testimony. You get to hear how they're overcoming their victories, even their struggles, and how they're pressing through it. And it is a wonderful opportunity to gather with like-minded people for growth. And it happens the first and third Wednesday of every month. If you're not able to attend the live call, as a Wellness Club member, you get access to the replay. So for those who are interested, you're going to see a link to my channel membership. The Wellness Club is one of the tiers of channel membership. Make sure you join the correct tier, because there are 3 tiers. So shout out and thank you to our channel members. Shout out and thank you to the Blessed Life Club. But most of you ask about getting on the conference call. That comes with the Wellness Club. So make sure you're joining at that level so you get access to the Wellness Call. So that's what we have going on outside of the general videos. And if you're not able to become a Wellness Club member just yet, you can continue to enjoy the free general videos here. So with that being said, have an amazing day. Have an amazing weekend. Let's do our best to be kind, but let's also take our common sense and our discernment with us. God bless you.